Hey guys, I wanted to share something with you that I learned not too long ago about chords that has really helped me understand how they work. And I think it will really help you as well. And so here we go. Out of the thousands and thousands of chords that are out there that you can play, you might know some of them, you might know all of them, but they basically boil down into three categories, or what I'm calling families of chords. All those thousands of chords boil down to three. Okay? At least they function in one of three, I should say. That's probably more accurate. But let me go over these with you. The first is your major with a big M. Major type of chord. Second is a minor. Little m minor. And the third family of chords is what's called dominant. Dominant. Now that's different from diminished, so don't get those two confused. Dominant. I'll show you what these are. But you can go through any song and look at any chord, and basically they're going to fit into one of these families of chords. Let me give you an example. Here's the most famous song in the world of all time, Amazing Grace. This whole top row, D, D, G, D, those are all major chords. The second line, D is a major, B, M is a minor chord. And then we run into this A7. Well, seventh chords are dominant chords. They're very, very unique. We can, talk for days on the theory of dominant chords, but we won't here because this lesson is just about learning how this is true, that there's three families of chords. And we go down, we got major here for D. Here's another dominant, D7, G major, D major, B minor, A7, dominant, D, D. So basically we have two minor chords, we have three dominant chords, and the rest are major. Now you might be saying, okay, what's the big deal? I know that they're in three categories. The big deal is this. One of the great things that playing chords offers us is the creativity to use our ears to play some added color notes in a song. Unlike notated music where, like a classical piece, you can't add any notes. There, you got to play it exactly as written. But as soon as you start wanting to add different notes and colors to the sound, the question is, well, what colors can I use and when can I use them? That's always been my thing, is like, how do all these guys know how to make these songs sound so pretty? And that's what this whole lesson is about. Because let me show you this. Major chords up here, right? Some of the, I'll give you some examples of major chords. One is just a regular major chord, like a D or a G. But another common one would be like a 2 chord. So like a major 2, like you see a C2 or an E2. Another popular one is what's called a major 7. Okay, it's starting to sound a little jazzy, but it's still a major family of chords. There's major 9. There's a 6-9 chord. And these are starting to get real jazzy. But basically, I don't want to have a lesson on all different types. You can look that up on the internet. But there's tons of them. Okay? But what you need to know is no matter what they look like, they are all a type of major chord. Let's move on to minor. So the most basic one is just a minor chord. You'll always see a little M like this. Probably after that, you'll see most commonly what's called a minor 7. Now, minor 7s are really common, especially in the worship songs that we play. They're minor, but they don't sound so harsh, sad minor. They've got like a smoother minor, sound to them. There's also a minor 9, starting to sound jazzy. Minor 11, And there's tons of others that I'm not going to show you here for this lesson. But those are all minor chords. And then the dominant, okay, here we go. Dominant, these are like the most colorful of all the chords and probably the least used in modern worship music. Unless you're playing like, classic type of songs or even traditions type of songs, you'll hear dominant chords all the time and see them. But the most common dominant would be like a seventh chord. Seventh. Like a B7, A7, D7. And that is different than a minor 7 and a major 7. So that's one thing you have to remember is a 7 by itself is in a whole different category of chords, family of chords, than a major 7 or a minor 7, okay? Super important. But also you'll get ninth chords, real common in some of the, kind of, I would say older, but just more non-modern, I should say. You'll run into 11th chords all the time. And probably the most modern type of dominant chord that you'll hear is what's called a suspended chord. Suspended. I know you've heard those before. Or you might hear like a 7 suspended. That's a pretty chord as well. But all of these chords are part of the dominant chord family. Now, why, again, is this important? Do I need to memorize all these or what? No, you don't. Because the truth is, you can play all songs with just major and minor chords. I mean, you can break this down and you don't even have to play this as an A7. You can just play it as an A. But if you want to add a little color to it, what you can basically do is you can substitute any chord for a different chord within the same family. Okay? Let me say that again. Any chord that you see, as long as you can figure out which family that they're in, technically you can substitute that chord for any other type of chord in that family. So let me give you an example here. On this D is a major chord. If you wanted, you could play this D as a D2 because 2s are part of the major family. I know some people do that. This G, if you wanted, you can play this because it's a major. You could play this as a G major 7, not a minor 7 or not a dominant 7 because that would take you into a whole different family. But, okay. Now, here is one that I really want to show you. When you get to the minor chords, like I said, regular minor chords sound real sad and harsh. And you find it like in, kind of folk music and rock music a lot. But when you don't want it a harsh minor, it's really good to substitute a minor 7 for any type of minor chord. So for this B minor, you can play B minor 7. In fact, I like to play a lot of my minors as minor 7s. But I don't put minor 7s on all our chord charts because, some of you might not know how to play minor 7 chords. And for the people that understand music and how chords work like you all do now, anytime you see a minor, you can play a minor 7 because it'll just add a little more color to it. Okay, here's another one, A7. This is a dominant type of chord, right? Family chords. Well, if I play this A7, it's going to sound real traditional, which Amazing Grace is a traditional song. But let's say I want to play it a little more modern. Instead of playing A7, I could play A suspended. And that will already make it sound like it's a little more modern. And you can resolve that if you want to, or you can just keep it suspended. But by doing this, you can go through and just by a simple chord chart with just majors and minors or dominants, you can go and really add color notes to make it sound, sweeter. Now, one warning I want to give you is just because you can add different types of chords within their families, That doesn't mean you want to do that all the time, because what will happen is as soon as you start to substitute some of these chords, it's going to change the style of the song drastically. So let me give you an example. If on this bottom line here, I were to just say, hey, I've learned this great, new thing that I can do. So on this B, I'm going to play B minor 11. I'm going to play B minor 11. On this A7, I'm going to play an A9 chord. On this D, I'm going to play a D, because that's a major, D6 9. And on this last D, I'm going to play that as a D major 9. If you start doing that, it's going to sound probably pretty horrible, okay? Because that's going to just totally make this song sound like jazz. And unless that's the purpose, no one's going to want you to playing on that on their team, because it's going to change the style so much. But if you use your ears and you know how to do what I just showed you, you can take a simple chord chart. By the way, all of our chord charts are written in the simplest form possible, knowing that the good players will know how to add color to them, okay? You can take a simple chord chart and make it sound much, much nicer. So I hope that helps you. It might take a little bit of, practice to be able to do this, but just start trying it. As you practice, try to substitute some of these chords to make add a little extra color to the song, so that it starts sounding good to your ears.